Okay. Okay, starts at turn 1. So, good evening everyone. Welcome to the training session for Donington. So, some basic tips for Donington. Curbs are your friends, but also your enemies. If you want to do a quick lap for quali, then learn where to cut the curbs. But you will get pressure loss if you do that continuously throughout the race. So be careful for that part. Trail braking quite important on some of the corners. First corner specifically. And then we'll go through it as we go, but the first corner specifically. Then the main thing of Donington is avoid the grass. It's like driving on ice. So as far as possible, luckily it's not going to be a wet race, so we should be fine. But let's get started. So coming down the pit straight, you want to position your car over to the left hand side, sort of where I am now. Even more, you want to straddle this little dotted line. Now obviously when guys come out of the pits, you'll have to adjust your line because you cannot use this line. So just be aware of that. Make sure that you practice that as well during the race. Just taking a couple of the first corners without using the optimal line. Because you might get in the race situation and then there's a guy coming out of the pits and then you might screw up your turn 1. So make sure you practice that. So for turn 1, your brake marker is sort of the halfway mark of this little dotted line in front of the car at the moment. So from where the dotted line starts to where it ends, sort of in the middle of it, is the brake marker for turn 1. The important thing for turn 1 is you want to turn in late, slow the car down first, and then you want to trail it into the apex, so that you just want to clip the inside with the inside curbs with your inside tires. You don't want to put a wheel on the grass here, it's quite bumpy. And also just be careful when you apply a throttle coming out of turn 1 so that you don't go too wide, number 1. That's why you want to turn in late, so that you've got a much clearer and straighter line exiting the corner. So you're going to come down all the way here, so about halfway down this little dotted line, you're going to be on the brakes, you're going to trail it in. Just follow the curvature of the track as you're braking, just follow it. As you get down to second gear, then you bring the car in. You can go over this little green part here, that is fine, but avoid going on the grass. And you want to be off the brakes, just trail it in so that you just clip this inside and then gently on the throttle. Don't go too wide here because it's very bumpy. Specifically, this is still valid, however, if you start going onto the sand here on the left hand side, it's going to be bumpy. Chances are you can lose the car. And also you're going to have some pressure loss. Then you just follow the straightest line that you can, as close to the curbs as possible. As you get to this one, keep to the left, and as soon as the road straightens, you bring it over to the left again, so you clip this inside here. And then this is a difficult corner for a lot of people, so I'm just going to give you a little tip for this corner. First of all, you have to be on throttle when you reach the corner. So that'll help you to get through the corner. Your brake marker for this one is you're going to position your car as far left as possible, follow the curvature of the corner. You'll see the road starts to bend here just in front of the car now. And just as soon as it straightens this little part here, this is where you're going to brake. You're going to brake, bring it down to about third gear, but you want to trail it in and you want to cut the inside of this corner coming up. But not on the grass, just on the curbing itself. And you want to turn in late for it as well. So it takes some timing. So you're going to be braking in, stay left of the track as far as possible, down to third gear. And you sort of just want to let off the brakes a little bit. You don't want to be completely off the brakes because that helps the nose get in. And then you want to swing the car in over this green part if you can. But as soon as you are, just before you hit this curb, you must be on throttle. Now that's going to be your quickest and fastest line. You want to be on throttle here, That'll help bring the car around. If you're too late, then the chances are you're going to end up wide on the exit. And then you'll end up roundabout in this area. Just bring it quickly over to the right hand side. Take the shortest line as you go up the hill. Over to the right hand side. Cut in straight for this one. You want to cut in straight so that you can get the car in a straight line position like this. So don't be on the inside. Be on the outside. Cut in this corner so that you can straighten your steering into a nice straight line. Because your braking marker is just as this curb ends on the left hand side. You see there's a little dark patch on the tarmac right next to the curb. As soon as you're over this, right there, that's going to be your brake marker. And you want to brake towards that little arrow board there, or the 505 games black board there. So you don't necessarily want to follow the road. You want to brake in a straight line towards that little white board there. You're going to brake down to third gear and gently come off the brakes. This corner is a bit on the difficult side because it's got a little hump that you go over, and it can unsettle the car if you are too eager on the throttle. So just be gentle on the throttle. So you're going to brake in that direction, down to third gear. Get off the brake, make sure that you are ready, and start applying the throttle. And you want to apex just on this little edge here. This is going to be your apex part, and you should be gently on the throttle or full on the throttle by the time you get here. Same as the previous fast corner, because that helps to get the car rotated. If you do it wrongly, you might have a situation where you lose the rear in this position, and then you end up on the right hand side in that wall, as I have done many times. So you'll end up somewhere around here. Then you're just going to stick to the left hand side. Brake marker for this one is quite difficult, but there's one thing that you can use as a brake marker, and that is on the curb itself. I don't know what view you are using, but you'll see right in front of my nose there's a little black mark on the curb. I don't know if you can see it. It's like that grass polletjie on that other track. Which was that? Zolder. But yeah, there's a little black mark on the curb here. That's going to be your brake marker for this corner. Once again, this corner goes over a little crest, so be gentle with the throttle. Don't apply full throttle while going over the crest, because you will lose the rear because of the weight transfer. So as you get to this little black mark, you're just going to give a stab on the brakes, get off the brake, down 1 to third gear, and you want to cut the inside here and just coast for a little bit. So you're going to brake, let it go over this inside part, let the car go over the curb and settle, finish bouncing, and then gently on the throttle. Not slowly, but just gently, because there's a tendency for the car to get quite loose in this corner as well. You'll see the camber sort of goes away from you. So in this area, you can lose the car quite a bit if you are not careful on the throttle. Then we go to the chicane, everybody's favorite corner. Position the car on the right hand side, and the only brake marker I can see that I use quite regularly is once again on the curb, right in front of the nose. You'll see there's like a little long tire mark, and then the one that just goes to the right hand side. Don't know if you can see it, but yeah, just before this tire mark starts on the curb itself, that's sort of where my brake marker is. Now, depending on what car you have, in the Porsche, I enter this corner in third, exit it in third as well. Might be different depending on the car you have. One thing again, similar to Spa with Eau Rouge, similar to Red Bull with corner number 1, only worry about the first corner. Don't worry about the second one. Because if you get the first one right, the second one doesn't really exist. So I just halved your stress level for you. So the idea is you want to get here, hard on the brakes, get the car slowed down, get the car turned in. You actually have to turn in earlier than you think, just because you are going downhill. So the mistake a lot of people make is they think, okay, I'm coming to the corner now, so I have to turn in now. But you're actually already about 5 to 10 meters too late. And you'll see when you do it at a speed, you sort of want to bring the car in on the brakes. You're going to brake. And then here you want to start turning it in already. Because you want to be in the position where you get the car turned in just for the first corner in such a way that you can just straight line the second one. If you find yourself in a position where you either have to turn more to the left to make the second corner, that means you turned in too early. So have to wait a bit. So the idea is you want to be on the brakes, bring it in on the brakes, and this is the line you want to take. Remember, you have to keep your inside wheels on the track, inside the white lines at all times for it to be valid. So if you get your car turned in this position, as you can see, you can just go open the steering straight, go over this one straight, and only when you're over it, then you bring the car to the left. So the main focus is just focus on the first corner. Don't worry about the second one. If you get that turn in right and you line it up to in a straight line, you just go straight across and you don't have to worry about it any further. Then this terrible trail braking hairpin thing that we have here, once again, look to the curbs for your brake markers. Once again, just in front of my nose, you'll see there's a little tire mark. That is your indicator. So just before that tire mark is where I brake in the Porsche. And then you have to sort of trail it in, get hard on the brakes at first, and then gently off the brakes. As you start turning in, you have to go less on the brakes to help the nose grip and rotate the car. Down to first gears, you're going to be braking, gently off the brakes. As you start turning, you'll get off the brakes, and if possible, you want to just clip the second part of the inside of the curb. Once you get here, you have to be on throttle already. You can run all the way to the end on this side, then you bring it over to the left hand side for the final corner. Brake marker for this one is a slightly more interesting. You have to be a bit more wakey. For this one, you'll see the white stripe next to the curb. There's sort of a dull patch. It's nice and bright and white as you start this curb, and then somewhere here in the middle of the curb there's sort of a little dull patch, so fall sticky, and then it gets brighter around about here. So this little dull patch is going to be your brake marker. So there's a couple of ways you can approach this corner. The one is to keep it tight all the way around from the start. The other option is to brake sort of almost past the corner and then cut in so that you get a better run on the exit. This is also one of the favorite overtaking spots. A lot of dives, a lot of crashes, so just be careful of that as well. But the normal one is you will be braking towards that little yellow crane there. So as you reach that dull point, this will be also first gear. You're going to brake. Then as you turn, as you come off the brake, you turn the steering wheel in, and you want to go tighter and tighter so that you can just clip this final part on the inside, and then you must be on throttle again. Pit entrance, remember the pit entrance is here, not on the other side of the building. Though somebody once tried to go into the pits there, I can't remember who it was. But yeah, that is the pit entrance is here. So as you're going to stay on the inside as you come through the last corner, as soon as you hit this dotted line on the brakes, because the brake marker and the pit board is right there. So let me just switch over to some fresh tires, and we go for a fast one. So I'm gonna try and speak as we go. Hopefully that helps all of you. So for corner one, in the middle of that line, going to bring it down to second gear. You just want to clip that inside and then gently on the throttle. Don't go onto the grass on the outside. Follow the straight line as much as possible. As soon as it straightens, over to the left hand side. Here where the road turns, that's the line you want to take on the throttle as you get to that curb. Follow the straightest line, go out wide, cut it in so that you can have a straight line on the brake area. Brake towards that little white board there. Look for the dark mark on the curb. Brake. Let it finish, bump, and then gently on the throttle, but firmly. Over to the right hand side. Now we look for that little tire marker. We focus on the first corner. Brake. So you just want to get it in straight over the second one, and there you go. Once you're over that curb, that's when you bring it in. Look for the dark mark on the left hand side. As you turn, let go of the brake, clip the inside of the second part. Over to the right hand side, look for the little dull part on that white line. Same story, as you release the brake, you turn the wheel, clip the inside, and on the throttle. Okay, at speed, halfway down the dotted line, stay to the right, second gear, trail it in. As soon as you find the nose coming in and you make the apex, then you get on the throttle. Make it nice and tight around here. As this road turns, I made a bit of a boo-boo there, but we survived. Over to the right hand side, cutting in a straight line, brake towards the whiteboard, down to third gear. Gently on the throttle so you don't lose the rear over that little crest. Look for the dark mark, brake, down one. Let it finish, hop along, then gently but firmly on the throttle. Just keep the rear in check. As we go down the hill, focus on the first part of the corner. Just like that, and then we start turning it for the right hand side. Look for the dark mark on the left. Hard on the brakes, down to first. But later on the throttle, but you get the idea. Look for the little dull spot there on the white line, down to first gear. Clip the inside part and across the line. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Any questions? Hopefully it makes all sense for Donington. Good times here. I think anything 26, 27 with fuel for the pro guys, and I think high 27s, maybe low 28s for the AM guys should be sufficient to have a nice competitive race. So yeah, that is my story for now.